Hello and welcome to this tutorial about publishing a Vuforia app to Android. The way I'm showing you this is essentially kind of from a build that has already been done in a previous tutorial. So like as you're seeing here, we have a blueprint image target. Vuforia is already set up and I have a few pieces of furniture that are augmented. If I hit play, you'll see the view from the webcam that's attached to my computer. And we can actually see the augmented furniture here on the image target itself. Okay. So now we need to actually publish this onto a device. So what we need to do is actually go to Edit, Preferences, and you're going to see this window come up and this other TMP importer up here. You can close the TMP importer. By the way, I'm in Unity 2018.3. That's kind of what you're going to see if you're in 2018.3 forward. It may be a little different if you're on a different version of Unity, but for the most part, this should be the same. And in Preferences, you want to click on External Tools. And here's where you can set which script editor you're using, like Visual Studio here. But down below, it says Android SDK. And there's the NDK and this JVM. We really only need this SDK. And as long as you have Use Embedded JDK, that means the Java Development Kit. So right here, it's just saying this is what comes with the Java Development Kit. You can download the Java Development Kit separately. Just search for JDK and install the one that works for your system, but you can just keep that checked and you're good there. Now for the Android SDK, you can hit download and it'll take you right to a website for Android Studio. Okay, so this is a software that we're not necessarily going to learn. We don't really even need to know how it works, but unfortunately you have to install it to get access to the Android SDK. So we're going to go ahead and download that. Agree, download Android Studio. Once Android Studio is installed or downloaded, I'll go ahead and run it to install it. And this may take up to 10 minutes or more to actually install. So go ahead and get that started. And you don't have to set any specific settings as you're going through the installation, just sort of next and agree. You will have to have admin rights on your system that you're using to install it. Once you have Android Studio already installed on your system, go ahead and run it. And here's where we're going to actually create a fake project with it and get into the Android SDK itself. So we just need access to its interface. Right away, it took me into a project that's already created. If it's asking you to create a new project, just say yes and go through it. I think I'll do that real quick so you can see what that looks like. So I'm just going to leave it say my application. Like I said, we just need access to the interface, so you can just leave all the default settings as they are and just keep hitting next and then finish, and it will compile and build a project somewhere on your system, which you can delete later. Okay, so once you have access to the interface, you can go into Help, Find Action, and then type in SDK Manager, which will come up right away. So just run that, and then this interface comes up inside of Android Studio, and you have three tabs here: SDK Platforms, SDK Tools, and Update Sites. Really, all we want to make sure is we're actually getting the Android API, or the Android SDK, I should say, for whatever version of Android we're developing for. So now I'm going to switch my recording from my desktop here to my phone so you can actually see how to find this, and then also how to turn developer options on your phone. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is actually go into Settings, and then when you're inside of your settings on your Android device, go ahead and look for the About Phone button. So go into there, and this will give you all the information about your phone. And then we specifically need the software information. And now we're looking for what version of Android we're using here. So this one says Android version 9. Okay, so we'll just make note of that as we go forward. And the next thing we need to do is look for this build number area. So what I want you to do is tap on build number a couple times, and then you're going to actually see a notification that pops up at the bottom of the screen that says tapping so many times for developer mode. So you want to keep doing that until developer mode turns on. Okay, so we actually know that it's SDK Android 9, which I just updated my phone recently, so Android 9 isn't even on the list here. So I'm just going to leave it as Android 8, and yours may not have anything checked, so you want to check that. And then on SDK tools, you do want to come over here and make sure Android SDK tools is checked, the Google USB driver is checked, and I have these checked too. I don't think you need these though. They might already be checked for you. And then there, up here it says update available for the SDK build tools. So we want to go ahead and check that. And then all you have to do is hit apply at the bottom right, and it should go ahead and start installing, or tell you what it's going to be installed, and then installing everything. You will have to accept the license agreements per each component. I think it'll let you do it all at once. So one of the last parts of this is after everything's installed here, this might take you a little while depending on what you're downloading. We need to figure out where this is. So for me, the Android SDK location is right there. So I actually just need to copy this text right here. So Control C and head back into Unity, and then for the SDK location, I'm just going to paste that right there. Okay. So now we are linked up with the Android SDK, and I can close this, and we can go to File, Build Settings, and we're still on Android. We want to add the open scene, and then go to Player Settings, and then we have to create a license key to use with Android. That's something new for their security that we have to do. So I believe it's under Publish Settings. We can create a new key store, and you have to set a password for this. So you hit create new key store, you put your passwords in that you're going to remember, and then you hit browse key store. And what it allows you to do is actually save your user.keystore above your assets folder in your project. So I'm going to save that there, and then you'll be able to actually access it later. So here I think I can, on key, you want to say create new key, and then you actually have to type in your alias, your password, and then your organizational information. So okay, all that information has to be in there, and that's for Android's security's sake. Create this key, and then that will be saved in the data that was on the key store that you just made. So there we go. Every time you open your project, you're going to have to come back in and type in this password information to do this. So now you can select the key that you just created here, right there, and then type in the same password as you have it up here. Okay, and you might actually take this key and reuse it in other projects, and remember the location of it is going to be in your project right here. So you might save that outside of your project or just keep it somewhere, and just remember your password and everything with it. You can always create a new one, a new key store if you need to. So that's important to be able to build for your application. What I'd like to do now is show you how to build out your application. So select Build, and we're going to create a new folder here, once again above your Assets folder, so something that's not inside of your Assets folder, because that's important. If you put it in your Assets folder, Unity will try to access it like it's assets to use in the project, which creates a bunch of errors. So I'm just going to say Vuforia app build. That'll tell me what it is later, and then I'll name it blueprint. Save it, and then now it will actually build it out as an APK file. It's also important that you go through the other options. So I didn't set the package name properly, so I'm using, unfortunately, the default, so it won't let me actually build with that. So the way you set this is you go into other settings, and you go down here where it says package name, and you want to change this to what this is. So if it's a commercial thing, you leave it as COM. So I'm doing an educational thing, so EDU, educational application. The company, I'm just going to say Indiana University And then for my product name, I'm just going to say Blueprint. Okay, save it. And you can change this to any other specific version you want. Now is the time probably to actually change the minimum API level to whatever your lowest one is that you have. So, I mean, this application probably won't run on Android 4, so I'm actually going to change it to Android 8 because that's what I'm targeting. If you're deploying out to the App Store, you should definitely test on different versions of Android so that you can determine what is the lowest. But, I mean, I'm just going to set it as that because we're just putting it on one device today. And let's try build again. Blueprint.apk. So you might have to enable access for the JDK as it's building, just like I did there. So you'll have to have admin access to do that. And it's building it as a Gradle project. And we'll see if this works. If it works, then you're in business. If not, then we can change one more thing in the settings here. The other thing you can do is you can always contact our lab at vizhelp@iu.edu. We don't officially support mobile device development, but we do have some experience in it, so we'll do our best to help you out. We also have a little bit of experience getting augmented reality applications out to Apple devices, so just let us know where you're at and what you're having trouble with, and we'll try to help you get started, at least to get something compiled. Okay, so my APK was just published. That means that you have a workable project, and this APK file I'm going to go ahead and actually just put up on Box and then put on my device. Now, if you don't want to spend the time to actually upload things to Box, you can use Google Drive. That's another way to upload it and download it back to your phone. The other thing you can do is if you have a cord for your phone that can hook up, you can actually plug your device directly into a USB port, and then right here it'll actually list the devices that are here, and you can refresh this and it will fetch any devices that are connected that could be our Android devices. And I think you might have to enable USB debugging to do this in your settings, but if your device shows up here, you can hit build and run, and it'll build it and then export it right through the USB cord into the device, and it will operate as an app. I'm going to switch now from recording here to recording on my phone so you can actually see the app installed and functioning, or at least how I install it and get it functioning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and install the application. First I got to download it off of my Google Drive here, and I'm going to install this. And if my phone were to require me to change settings to allow unknown apps, you just follow the instructions to do that. My phone looks like it's okay, and it's going to let me open it, so I'm going to open the application. It will run the maiden Unity screen, and let me bring the target up on my computer screen. So there we go, and it's augmenting the chairs and that table. And this is an incomplete augmented reality app, but what I wanted to show you here is just how to get it going on the device. You could technically like hook up your device and compile directly to it, but sometimes I find it's nice and easy just to put the APK up on some place where I can download it and then get to it. If you need help doing augmented reality for Android with Vuforia, or even trying out Apple, you can contact the AVL. We don't actually officially support mobile development, but we do have some experience in it. We can do our best to help you out. It's our contact information is vizhelp@iu.edu. And thank you for watching this video. I'm Chauncey Friend. Bye-bye.